Hello, this is Dr. ANTF and welcome to a new lesson of my guitar lessons. Today we are going to learn how to do some chords. In fact, we are going to learn how to do the simplest pattern or the simplest way of playing chords, and for sure playing chords by hand. Let me show you what we are going to learn today. So let's start right away. The first thing that you have to know is that when you strike the strings downwards, you strike them using your fingers, these two fingers from your hand. So you strike them like this. In a moment, I will show you a close-up for this. So whenever I'm going downwards, I will go like this. And whenever I'm going upwards, I will use my thumb finger and I will strike the strings from my nail from this side upwards like this. So it is down, up, down, up. In general, chords are playing down and up with a certain pattern. So the first thing that we have to know is that going down is using these two fingers only, and up using the thumb. Let's see a close-up. Let's see a close-up for hitting the strings downwards and upwards. So when going down, I use these two fingers. And upwards, so down, up. An important thing that you have to know is that moving your hand, the movement by itself occurs from your wrist from here. It's not from the fingers from here. In other words, we are not just moving our fingers like this. This is wrong. We are going to move our hand from our wrist from here. So you let your hand loose and then you make some hits. You rotate your hand inwards and you hit to the outside. So inside, outside. Let's illustrate on my foot. Imagine that I have some dirt that I would like to clean over here. If I'm going to clean the dirt, I will not just use my fingers like this. No, this will not do it. In fact, what we will do, we will rotate our hand inwards and then we will hit everything outwards. So, inside, outside. If we do it with some power, so, the whole thing is movement of your hand from your wrist from this position. You take it to the inside and you hit to the outside. If I do it on the guitar, so it will be something like this. So it's not only fingers, this is wrong. It's not like this. You take your hand to the inside and you hit to the outside. Alright, so now since we learned the basics of hitting chords downwards, we can start building our chord pattern. Let me play it once again to see what there are inside it. So as you notice, there's a strange thing. I'm muting the chord or muting the strings themselves. So let's start by learning how to mute the strings. Let's see them in close-ups. So, the muting occurs by this area of your hand, only this area. And it occurs simply by striking the strings like this. First of all, you have to understand a very important thing. When we are going to strike these strings, I will put my hand in this perpendicular position. So, I'll take it perpendicular, then hit. Perpendicular, hit. A very wrong common mistake is to hit it like this. Raise your hand parallel to the strings and hit. This is not correct, and it produces strange and wrong sounds, and you cannot play with it. So you have to put your hand perpendicular over the strings and then rotate it downwards, hitting the strings. So if I do it with the chord, so every time I have to rotate my hand, then hit. If I do it faster, okay, another important thing. Notice after I hit the strings where I put my thumb finger. So, if I hit it like this, this is bad. Why? Because my thumb is between the strings. I cannot benefit from my thumb if it is in this position. A better way to do it is to hit the strings and to put my thumb outside the strings, like this. In this case, I can benefit from my thumb if I want to continue something, which we will do in a moment, by hitting the strings upwards. So I can benefit from it. But if my thumb is between the strings like this, I cannot benefit anything from it. So it's very simple. You rotate your hand perpendicular over the strings, you hit it, and you put your thumb outside, and that's it. Alright, so now we are going to build step number 3 in this chord pattern, which is the third movement. So, first I strike the strings downwards. Second, I mute them. Third, I go upwards, hitting my strings with my thumb. So it's like this. Little bit faster. So now we learned the first 3 steps of this chord, and let's go to the 4th step. So the 4th step is another upwards, which is like this. Step number 1, down, mute, up, and another up, which is step number 4. So it will be like this. Okay, step number 5 is to add another muting strike after the 4th upwards, which is like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, the last step, step number 6, is to have a final upward strike, which will be like this. Well, why currently it doesn't sound like the song that I played in the introduction? Simply because after I did all the 6 steps, I stopped. In fact, I should repeat to play them in a consecutive loop like this. So the idea is, whenever you finish the first set, you start a second one directly without stopping. Now that we have learned this chord pattern, I will be playing a complete song using the chords that appears in front of you on the screen. Well, I hope you enjoyed this lesson and hope to see you again in another lesson.